Hello, friends. Good to see you again. Well, I don't see you. So I thought, I apologize for not dropping a video last week, or actually on my YouTube channel. It's been a couple weeks because I was between laptops. I got a new laptop, and my wife was on vacation, and I actually went to visit our daughter, and I was overwhelmed with stuff to do here on my farm. But yesterday, I was in the Detroit area, and I was delivering vegetables for our CSA. I sold a bunch of eggs, and so I had money burning a hole in my pocket. And I had $1.55 in credit at John King North Books in Ferndale, Michigan. So I decided I would go there and buy a book. And I bought this book, which is Comparative Studies in Nursery Rhymes by Lena Eckenstein, which is a cool book. I mean, I love buying old books. And I love when you get old books and they have like these newspaper clippings taped into the fly leaves. It's such a cool thing. Nursery Rhymes, Their Origin and Lore, from I'm not sure what newspaper, but looks like May 14th, 1924. Might be August, can't tell. But it's a cool book. I mean, you know, I'm a former Waldorf teacher, as a lot of you know, and not father of 9 children. And from my whole career in being a parent and a school teacher, has it been a concern with the loss of not just literacy. You know, kids don't read anymore. Once they get a laptop or a phone, say goodbye to reading. At least actually substantive reading, like novels and what have you. Poetry. Nobody reads poetry. Pardon me. And one of the things you see is that, and I have noticed over the course of my life, is the loss of organic poetry or organic language. Like Nursery Rhymes is a great example in this book. You know, they point out that what we call nursery rhymes, you know, were first written down, most of them, you know, not really in earnest till late 1700s. But they've been around forever, right? And they're all different kinds of versions of various nursery rhymes or ballads or whatever. And it made me think about when I was a kid in Detroit. Now, I'm 63 years old. So I was born in 1962. And the weird thing is, when we were kids, it was thought... I had to cough for a second. It was thought inappropriate for children to knock on the door or ring the doorbell. And so what we did is we would sing our friends' names from the porch, which is, if you think about it, that's awfully cute. But I don't think kids do that anymore. So my next door neighbor in Detroit, Janet Blackley, my sister and I would go to her house and one of our other friends, and we'd sing her name from the porch, Janet. Which I haven't heard that. I don't think that probably died out with my generation. We were probably the last ones to do that. But it's a beautiful idea. And of course, then you have jump rope rhymes and other kinds of things that children do, or at least used to do. And I think that's, you know, I'm wondering what happens when we completely lose it. And I think we have completely lost it, or at least very closely. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's completely lost. And I think this is intimately connected to the imagination. You know, if you have something on your iPod or your phone to listen to, you don't have to sing. You can listen. You can export your imagination to other things, or your participation in those kinds of beautiful language games in a good way, not in a Wittgensteinian sense. And what have we lost with that oral culture disappearing, becoming digital culture? I think it's extraordinary. It made me think, actually buying that book, which had a lot of cool stuff in this book. It made me think of this book, which is like the classic, Come Hither, a collection of rhymes and poems for the young of all ages, made by Walter de la Mare and embellished by Alec Buckles. Nice. You like these old books? Nice hefty feeling. Let me see. What year is this from? This is not the first edition. This one went through several editions, people. This one's probably 1941. Yeah. First published in 1923, and this was the fourth printing. Okay, there was a second revised edition in 1928. Got a lot of cool stuff in here. It doesn't treat kids like idiots. That's what's beautiful about it. I've just opened randomly to a page right here with has John Keats' "O Sorrow" and followed by "When the Lamp is Shattered" by Percy Shelley. Lots of good stuff in here, and it doesn't treat children like morons, which is also it's a good thing, right? To not treat children. I think I could actually handle this stuff. And I know from my experience as an older teacher that, yes, indeed, they can handle that kind of stuff. And speaking of my times as a Waldorf teacher, in this book, Come Hither, there he reproduces Ariel's song, at least the first part of Ariel's song. I don't think the second part's in there. Maybe he thought it was too dark for kids. From The Tempest. And which, I'm looking at I'll show you right now. Yeah. Here you go. There's the program cover, which I did as a collage for my class's production of this. You can see May 9th and 10th, 2002. 23 years ago. Or we did The Tempest. It was a lot of fun. And I really had a really talented bunch of kids, including Big Sean, who played Ferdinand. Before he was Little Sean then. And he told me when he made it big, he was going to give me $1 million. And I haven't got any phone calls yet. But I'm going to play you my versions of Ariel's song. So you've been seeing, I set Shakespeare's lyrics to music. And we'll see what we could talk about from there, right? So here we go. Ready? Come unto these yellow sands, then take hands. Curtsy when you haven't kissed the wild waves with footed feebly here and there, and sweet Spice the bird and bear. Bow wow, the watchdogs bark. Hark, hark, I hear the strutting chanticleer cry, cock-a-doodle-doo. And that's the first part. And then, I'm going to cough again. Hold on a second. That's the first part. And then, the second part of Ariel's song, which I changed the music, is after they wake up Ferdinand from his spell. Right? And that's Full Fathom 5. Full fathom 5, thy father lies, of his bones a coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell, ding dong. Hark! Ding dong bell. I mean, now Shakespeare takes that idea of the children's song or the nursery rhyme and combines it with the magic of well, literary magic, we can say, right? These are such two micro beautiful. I think of them as two different songs, two micro beautiful lyrics that say so much. I mean, gosh, they're only about not even a minute long, right? And there's so much power in them. And he understands that kind of something in the human soul that responds to these short, sweet, and very powerful entrances into the imagination, into magic. And I think it's pretty extraordinary if you think about it. But it's almost entirely lost. It's almost entirely lost in our culture. And I think you can tell this by the inability of people to handle Shakespeare. And if you think about it, when Shakespeare was in his heyday, producing plays every year, several, that he was popular entertainment. I mean, he was more Steven Spielberg than Tarkovsky, and probably 90% of his audience was illiterate. But he knew what they liked, I mean, so you can see in Shakespeare, he goes high and low. So he throws, highbrow, intellectual, philosophical stuff in for the intellectuals. But also he puts a lot of broad comedy and slapstick and dirty jokes, but also this childlike magic of Ariel's song in The Tempest, which is a really profound play. It's one of my favorite plays. But this is pretty, I mean, I have to think about this. How much has been lost? I remember, this is kind of a nostalgia. My mother died in this room, right over there, right here, like behind me. 2022. We were taking care of her for 7 years. She had dementia. It was pretty bad. But my wife planted some hollyhocks right outside the window by our pump house outside. And they're not in flower yet, but I remember talking to my mom about what kinds of things she did when she was a little girl. And she said that there was a field across from her house. She lived in the projects, they were very poor. But hollyhocks grew there. And she and her friends, her sisters and her friends, would take the flowers off the hollyhocks, and they had the white flower would be the bride, and the ones that were colored would be the bridesmaids, which is beautiful, right? But that's an example of how the imagination is enriched just by being allowed to express itself. And nowadays, you should just have an app, right? You should just give the kid the cell phone or the tablet and watch Barney or whatever. But I think those things, and Rudolf Steiner was on this way ahead of everybody, those things in electronic media, even the radio, impoverish the imagination. And of course, I'm online doing this, right? But they impoverish the imagination. So how can we build more of these extraordinary practices? I mean, I'm starting to sound like John Vervaeke. We're doing some practice. But how can we, I don't know how we can reinstill that into culture, because I think much of what our starvation, our spiritual starvation, is because just those simple practices like that don't exist anymore. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the song. I love that chord right there. I was chuffed when I wrote that. Okay, anyway. But anyway, thank you so much. Have a great week, and my love to your family.